Good evening, friends. Welcome to the India Power Talk in association with the Indian Chamber of Commerce, the oldest chambers in India, and LawSikho, the India's largest online legal education company, is an effort to create an easily accessible digital reservoir of insights, strategies, and constructive suggestions from the international leaders on how to revive Indian economy. We would be inviting entrepreneurs, economists, professors, investment bankers, scientists, lawyers, chartered accountants, and professionals having experience from diverse sectors who would contribute on the subject. As we all know, global lockdown due to coronavirus continues to be the biggest worry for the medical, social, political, and business fraternity. We may be able to find medical solution, but the economic impact could be huge, wide, and deep, and therefore it is necessary to continue to find solutions and opportunities to survive, and not only survive but also thrive post COVID 19. And to talk on the insight, strategy, and experience, we have today a highly experienced and distinguished, truly exceptional leader, Ronald C. Gunnell from Salt Lake City, US. Uh, but before I invite Mr. Gunnell to speak his mind, let me give a short introduction. In 1986, Ron co-founded Health Benefits America (HBA), which became the largest benefits outsourcing company in the United States. HBA provided services to over 50 of the America's largest and respected Fortune 100 companies, managing the healthcare of millions of active and retired employees. In 2014, Ron founded the Broad Street Group, which provided international consulting services with offices in the United States, Sao Paulo, Brazil, Mumbai, India. In 2019, the Broad Street Group was converted to a trust and TAT Worldwide LLC was formed to carry on the work of the Broad Street Group. TAT stands for Truth Alone Triumphs. With over 30 years of business experience and nearly 20 years in the entertainment industry, he serves on a number of educational and arts board, including Hale Center Theatre, Utah. He has been heavily involved in charitable and volunteer work, including Rising Star Outreach. I would once again thank you, Mr. Gunnell, for your valuable time today for the India Power Talk. To begin with, may I request you to kindly open the discussion with your initial remarks on surviving and reviving post-COVID-19.
Well, thank you, Mr. Podar, for this wonderful invitation to address India Power Talk and in association with the India Chamber of Commerce. I made over 50 trips in the past 12 years for charitable work, and most recently consulting large companies in India, including Reliance Technologies subsidiary Geo Platforms located in Mumbai. There's no question that in my lifetime, COVID-19 has affected the world with such damaging impact. Stock markets tumbling, healthcare infrastructure stretched to its limits, and unemployment skyrocketing to unprecedented levels,
Absolutely.
Which has not been seen since the Great Depression. This international pandemic has stopped in its tracks business as usual and put the world on notice that life and how we conduct ourselves will be changed for years to come. We're still in the throes of COVID-19, and its grip is still holding us hostage at so many levels. We need to immediately reevaluate how we conduct business internally and externally, and how to prepare for the new normal that is in front of us. If we don't act now and plan, I'm afraid we will suffer consequences that may not be recoverable.
Absolutely. I'm so thrilled and glad to know that you have made like 50 trips to India. I guess we would suffer irreparable damage if we don't act now. May I now, request you to elaborate in some detail your experience in resolving such situations, and in particular, what would be your advice to survive and revive post COVID-19?
I like to call it surviving and thriving COVID-19 in the business marketplace, and it's universal and international. But at the heart of it all, Podar, personal lives are being uprooted and affected. I agree with their current assessment and would like to share 3 strategic areas that I feel will help the people of India survive and thrive in a business COVID-19 world. They are recovering revenue, rebuilding operations, and the third one is rethinking the organization. First, let me talk a little bit about recovering revenue. It's a tricky proposition. Balancing a revenue model that has worked in the past but decimated by COVID-19 requires rethinking and rethinking quickly. The McKinsey reminds us that this may include launching target campaigns to win back loyal customers, develop customer experiences focused on increased health and safety, adjusting pricing and promotionally based new data, reallocating and spending to proven growth sources. Here's one that I thought was really interesting: reskilling the sales force to support remote selling, creating flexible payment terms, digitizing sales channels, and automating processes to free up sales representatives to sell more. Second, rebuilding operations or building renewed operations, resilience is critical. As I read the McKinsey study, it also suggested that successful companies will redesign their operations and supply chains to protect against a wider and more acute range of potential shocks. In addition, they will act quickly to rebalance their global asset base and supplier mix. Developing an agile operating model is another recommendation by McKinsey that is driven by urgency. Marketing and sales leaders are increasingly willing to embrace agile methods. They are getting used to jumping on quick video conference calls to solve problems and give remote teams more decision-making authority. In the new normal, some operational functions can be done off-site and even at home. Others cannot. Systems and IT have a large secured data centers that must be managed, usually run at company offices, but sometimes, of course, off-site. Marketing and sales offices who require group and team strategy meetings are now Zooming, FaceTiming, Google Hangouts, GoToMeeting, and many other video conferencing techniques to do business, just like we're doing today, Podar.
Yeah.
Third, rethinking the organization. This is very important to me. Companies need to understand the power of interpersonal relationships, what I call perception versus reception in the post-COVID-19 new normal, which will demand a greater respect for the power of interpersonal relationships, not only between coworkers, but up the entire workforce ladder. Here in the United States, for example, Walmart is the first and largest employer to notify 10,000 employees that they will now be working permanently from their homes. The McKinsey research showed that in 2019, a leading retailer was exploring how to launch a curbside delivery business. The plan stretched over 18 months. With the COVID-19 lockdown in the US, it went live in 2 days. I mean, amazing.
That we have roughly around 4.5 millions of small and medium companies. And of course, large companies, large number of startups we have in India. And the number of startups is just growing. They are hungry for capital, technology, innovation. And they are badly hit by the COVID-19 lockdown. What would be your advice to them, particularly the SME, MSME, and the startups to accelerate and growth?
My advice for small and medium companies is to accelerate the adoption of new digital solutions. Lastly, I'd like to talk a little bit about being truthful with your organization and with your customers. As the India flag reminds us, truth alone triumphs. Demand for transparency and honesty is critical in communicating in a post-COVID-19 world. Accelerate digital adoption to enable reimagination. Refocus digital efforts to reflect changing customer expectations, increase the speed and productivity of digital solutions. I guess technology is the only savior and also the tool to quickly progress from small and medium enterprises to a stable and formidable organization.
Truly insightful, experience and guidance that you have really offered, Mr. Ganel. I really thank you for that, and I'm sure a lot of SME and the startup world would really learn from this. Digitization is the only answer, I guess.
Yes.
During our discussions in the last week, for this, when we spoke about the program, in addition to the adoption of technology, you did mention about education in India. Education is very close to my heart, I must say. So, could you please dwell upon this subject, which is also important? And I believe education is the biggest leveler, and education is the worst hit sector in the coronavirus. In mid-April, UNESCO reported around 192 countries had closed all schools and universities, affecting more than 90% of the world's students community, almost 1.6 billion children and young people. One of the most important drivers in human capital investment continues to be largely closed. And that's so sad. With largest young population in India, we need large-scale investments and also innovative curriculums from the developed economies. We will be soon allowing foreign universities to set up campuses in India. How do you really see this change?
A thriving post-COVID world in India with all the changes I've spoken about today will not be sustainable without the investment and focused priorities in the education of India's rising generation. The new normal must include new and innovative efforts to connect higher education and its students, professors, and leaders with higher educational institutions outside of India on a global stage. I think creating this kind of paradigm shift in how students experience education in a synergistic partnership with universities outside of India will give India students an incredible head start in the business marketplace, thus ensuring a better educated workforce.
As you know, US, Germany, and UK continue to be the large investors in India over 2 decades now. And also, India is a big market for the large companies, like also for the small companies. How do you see really this relationship developing now?
Well, what I see in the trade relationship between India and the United States is verified by your own business today. The U.S. has surpassed China to become India's top trading partner, showing greater economic ties between the two countries. The main difference is with India, the U.S. is dealing with the largest democracy in the world. The government needs the will to make structural changes to its business laws, regulations, tariffs, bureaucracy, and red tape, not to mention the political whims of parties, which also breeds corruption. We know India has the talent, the brain power, well educated with good work ethic, good business mind, great leadership qualities, and many other desirable qualities. All they need is for the government to get out of the way and unleash their potential. Now is the time for India to seize the opportunity this unexpected crisis has provided. For India, the time is now, and I believe the future economic relationship between the U.S. and India will become one of the greatest partnerships in the world. I don't believe that we will return to business and life as usual before COVID-19. The new normal applies not only to our business life, but our life in general as a whole. I have a renewed hope in the final outcome of surviving this pandemic experience, but caution and remind everyone that there will be a new normal, and how India adapts to it will guarantee India's place as a leading world economic powerhouse, which is, in the end, will benefit its citizens toward an incredible future.
May I request you to give a profound or really a comment on India as a whole, because you have seen India for the several times and so closely. What would be your observation on the current India or India as such?
The largest democracy in the world, India provides this freedom to its people.
Absolutely.
India was founded on this principle. You know, my country, the United States, was founded on this principle as well, that no government can exist in peace except such laws are framed and held inviolate, as well as secure to each individual the free exercise of conscience, the right and control of property, and the protection of life. I think to survive and thrive in a post-COVID-19 world, we should remember that while life is business and business is life is a smart catchphrase, COVID-19 has shown the world that we must be ever diligent, ever innovative to guarantee a prosperous future for generations to come. And I think that applies to India, it applies to the US. I think it applies to every country around the globe.
Highly appreciate it. It was a pleasure talking to you, Mr. Ganel.
Thank you. We'll talk to you soon. Bye-bye now.